Am I live? I'm not live. I'm cheating. I wanted to get into just doing live streams because it saves me all the time with the edit. But I've had a ridiculous day. I've had a ridiculous couple of weeks and I'm really tired. And it's like, I'm just going to record this live. So hopefully it's okay. My plan is to not edit this, which means it's going to have lots of and arms in it. But that's just where I'm at. It's either this or nothing. I'm hoping to do a deadline stream. I'd say there's about a 30-40% chance of that. But all the big boys will be doing deadline streams. They know a lot more about the individual players than I do. So it's just a safe space to hang out, I guess, if you want to come along to that. Right. So this video, what's it about? I'm going to review. I'm going to review Game Week 1, what happened there. And then I'm going to look forward to Game Week 2. But to summarize, to save you wasting any of your life having to watch this, don't make any transfers. You really don't need to. If you've got 11 playing players and you're not bench boosting, you probably want to save your transfer. If you are bench boosting and you've got 15 players, great bench boost. If you've got 14, okay, make a transfer to get 15. If you have fewer than 14, don't take a hit. So that's it. That's a summary of this whole video. But now, if you're still going to watch a bit further, I'm going to talk a bit more about what happened in Game Week 1 and then plans for Game Week 2 and what I think about various players. So I thought I'd bring into this all of last season. I posted on X how the various predictor sites were doing. I thought I'd quickly show in this video what's happened in Game Week 1. I may not do this every week. Let me know if you're interested in this or not. But in any case, you'll be able to go to X. I've not posted it yet, but you better go there and find it. So there's two different ways I'm looking at the predictors and how good they are. The first is supposing we've got here João Pedro and Haaland. They're both predicted to get 5 points. João Pedro gets 8, Haaland gets 2. Then they're both out by 3. Okay, one was 3 too high, the other 3 too low, but they were both out. So even though the total prediction was 10 and the predictor site said 10, they were actually wrong by 6. Now, this is useful if you're free hitting or you're very short term. You want to get a player in just for 1 week, then you need to know how accurate is this site. That may have made no sense, but I'm not redoing this. Let's just see what happens. So for Game Week 1, for the 4 predictors I looked at, Scout were the best with 2.797, Solio 2.895, Review 2.95, must be 0, and then Hub 2.965, so incredibly close. All this means is, on average, for the 20 most popular players, most highest owned for Game Week 1, they were all out by nearly 3 points on average for what the player was going to get. So really nothing in it at all. I think I might sneeze. Oh, didn't sneeze. That was lucky. Now, the other way I look at it is look at the actual difference. So again, the same scores. They predicted Pedro would get 5. João Pedro, that is, would get 5. He got 8, so he got 3 more. Haaland got 3 less than predicted. So the total difference is 0. So if you picked both of these players, the predictor said you'd get 10 points. You did get 10 points. So from that viewpoint, they're bang on the money. Now, to look at it this way, the reason you'd want to look at it this way is if you're taking a longer term view, maybe 5 weeks or more for players, then you can be more relaxed and say, I know for 1 game week, of course they're going to be wrong, but across several game weeks and across several players, how good are they going to be? And for this, after just 1 game week, they were all short of what actually happened because some of the popular players, like Calafiori, for example, and João Pedro, they scored more than was predicted. So Scout were the furthest from reality at minus 0.343 because they were behind the curve. The other 3 were all very similar. Solio minus 0.097, Hub minus 0.075, and Review were the best with minus 0.06. And I've had a look at the Hub site, and I think they've slightly brought down their predictions for this year. That's what it looks like. And if they have, I think that's a good thing, because last season they just had everyone about, on average, half a point too high. I think they've pulled it back. And if Hub can give the others a run for their money, that'd be really good this season because it'll make it a bit more interesting. So if you're, oh, that's the wrong one. If you're still with me, thank you for hanging around. Now on for the next thing. That was a silly thing for me to cut that, but I'm not taking it out. I'm being good here. So the Midnight Mule Mini League, the top 5 in joint fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Joint 4th place, we have Saka Punch FC by Sergio Kruger and Anyone Remaining by Matt Gilliott. Now, a big shout out to Saka Punch FC here. They got 86 points without using any chips. And they were the best one in our league to get. They were the highest in the league without using a chip. So that was great. All the rest on this page did use chips. In 3rd is Mahmoud with Mahmoud Abd El Aziz. In 2nd is Cheers, Sun's Crying, Amit Sunil. And in top place is Adil FC with Ainoa Sarasakita. Now, that's another funny thing. When I used to record these videos, I would spend so long trying to get the names right. But now I'm just recording it live. It's like, okay, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I know I probably did. Thank you very much for being in the league, though. So let's look at top place now. Adil FC. How did they manage their points? And it was 113 points. That was with Hinshelwood 16, Palmer 13, João Pedro and White both got 11, Calafiore 9, Sabozlai 8, Tarkovsky and Verbruggen both got 6, and nobody else got anything worth mentioning. And then they benched boost with Coyote 13, Endaya 9, and then O'Reilly Kinski 2. So that's 26 for the bench boost. And if it was a double game week, I'd say that was a good bench boost. So for a single game week, I'd say 26 is a very good bench boost. Now, I'm all the way down in 466th. I only got 49 points. And that was managed with João Pedro got 11, Calafiore 9, Sabozlai 8, Gabriel 5, and nobody else did anything else. And then my bench, I wasn't bench boosting. Slater got 6. That's nice. It's good to know I've got somebody on the bench who can come in if they need to. He got an assist. Sorry, he got 6 points. Now, there's a website. It is my favourite website, to be fair, for FPL Game Week. And this is my 5th season doing content. But even before that, I used to like going here and seeing how I was doing compared to the content creators that I like to watch. And at the moment, I'm down in 71st, which is equal with Hibbo from Fantasy Football Scout and Dan, who you may well know from FPL Mate. And the top content creators, after the first game week, they all played their bench boost, the ones at the top. In fact, over 70% of content creators played their bench boost. So top is Pricey, 2nd is the English Aussie, and in 3rd is Suj. Right, now we're on to my team. What are my plans for this game week? If you saw the intro, you probably know I'm not going to do anything. There's nothing to do. It was always my plan to just roll, and I think that's what I'm going to be doing. So I've got Haaland. Haaland as captain away to Palace with his mates O'Reilly and Semenyo. It doesn't bother me in the least that Haaland did nothing last game week. I know he was close. Man City should be a lot better than Palace, even though they're going to be away down in London. I'm not the least bit nervous. I think all 3 of those could do something nice. Then I've got my vice-captain on João Pedro at home to Brighton. He's my only Chelsea player. I'm aware that in game week 4, lots of people are probably going to pile in on Chelsea players. But for now, that's all right. I just stick with him. And then for the Liverpool-Forest game, for Liverpool, I have Virgil van Dijk and Szoboszlai. For Forest, I have Williams and Gibbs-White. Now, Gibbs-White is flagged, but last I heard, they're hopeful he's going to be okay for the weekend. But if not, I've got my Slater on the bench. So again, I'm just going to stick with that. Even if Gibbs-White goes down in value, I think I'll just hold him for now. So that next game week, I'll have 2 transfers. Then I got 2 Arsenal defenders, Gabriel and Calafiore away to Villa. Villa were very poor last game week, but the last few years they've been quite poor at the beginning. And Arsenal, the last couple of years, have been very good at the beginning. So I'm very comfortable having those. Reasonable chance of them getting a clean sheet. And then Kinski in goal. I'm at home to Newcastle. I'm aware Spurs were awful last game week. they were playing Brentford, and Brentford were very good. However, it's a playing keeper. Let's hope he keeps his position. I might get 1, 2, 3 points. Remote chance of a clean sheet. Probably won't happen. Not going to waste a transfer on Kinski. Chances are I will wait until I wildcard, whenever that's going to be. Unless, of course, Kinski gets dropped or injured. And then my bench, Ipswich keeper, which is Palmer. Slater, who got good minutes. I think he got 90, so that's very good. And then Wally, and then Crooks. Now, I wanted to touch on this. So this is Game Week 1's review of Team of the Week. So this was the best 11 players. They got 148 points. Now, I don't normally talk about this particular... I've never talked about this team actually before, but I thought it was highly relevant to the way that I like to look at FPL, which is try and pick the popular players. So 148 points, how damaging was this? Well, João Pedro was owned by 66.7%. So 2/3 of his points went against you. He got 11 points. So that was minus 7 points. If you didn't have João Pedro, he got you minus 7 point something points. The next highest was Palmer at 14%. He got 13 points. So that's going to be, what, minus 1.6, 1.7 against you, which really isn't too bad. He's lowest shown 14%. Don't care. Next highest was Sangari, 7.2% owned. He got 14 points. That's like minus 1 against you. So you may well be jealous if you didn't have him. If you had him, you're very happy. But you don't need to worry that you didn't own him. He didn't hurt you. Coyote at 6.6% didn't hurt you. De Kuyper got a massive 17 points, but at only 6.5% owned. That was minus 1 point. That's less than minus 1 point something. Less than minus 1 point, I'm going to say, against you. It's probably close to minus 1. Didn't really hurt you at all. And then Gakpo, 5.5% owned, 12 points. That's like minus 0.66 or something. It's really not that bad. And every week, if you look at the team of the week, most of the players are not highly owned players. And it's so hard to pick which players are lowly owned, which players the differentials are going to do well. But it's very easy to choose which high owned players are not going to do well, because there's only a handful of highly owned players, but there's lots of lowly owned players that would be differentials, like there's hundreds of them. So the easy way to play, and it's what I like to try and move to after a few game weeks, is try and go for the highly owned players. So I'm going to cut to that scene now. So the next part, I'm going to look at a load of players, and I know some people hate this and they want me to stop doing it and just talk about 3 or 4 players, which I understand, and that's entirely reasonable. But I know there's other people that like me talking about a whole spread of players and then showing what the benching order would be for all these players, etc. So I'm going to kind of compromise. Players that are over 25% owned, I'll talk about a little bit more. The rest, I'm just going to whiz through. And the idea is, look, if I'm listing them and don't say otherwise, they're okay to have in your squad. It's fine. But it's only the highly owned ones that are going to hurt your rank. And it's only those ones that you should really care about whether or not you own them. I think that's what I wanted to say there. I've got a feeling there's something else I was going to say, but I forgot what that was. So never mind. Now, where is it? I think it's this one. And I think I pressed that button. Let's see if I get this right. Ta-da! So this is around my rank. I always base this on my rank, but it's not going to be much different to where you are unless you're like in the top 10,000 or better, in which case you're going to have a load of bench boost players around you. But generally, this is going to be roughly how it looks for most people. So the most highest owned player is João Pedro, 75.7% own him around my rank, which would just be active managers. My rank's just inside the top 5 million. Hopefully you've got him. Most of you will own him. Absolutely worth having. And assuming he doesn't get injured or anything like that, come game week 4, 95% of engaged managers will have João Pedro. Only 7.5 million. Chelsea look like they're going to be very good this season. And then slightly fewer owned, 71%. And that's Haaland. Now, I know he blanked, but I think he's totally worth having. I'm not the least bit nervous about having him. It's like every other week, Man City have got a very nice fixture. Happy to hold him. If you don't have Haaland and you're not wildcarding, I'd say don't bother getting him in. But if you've got him, obviously keep him. And that's the message for the whole video, actually. Just don't make any transfers, which kind of makes you think, why bother doing this video? But hey, I thought I'd do it anyway. So Bruno's around 50% owned at my rank. I think globally he's probably lower ranked than that, but this is around engaged managers. Half of them had it. Even if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't get Bruno. Man United, I think, often get off to a slow start, as does Bruno. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few game weeks' time I get him. He's popular. If he's popular enough, I'll probably get him. I have nothing against Bruno, but I'm quite comfortable at the moment not owning him at all. Second highest midfielder is Szoboszlai. Glad I've got him. 7 million. He seems a pretty solid player. The only reason you kind of wouldn't have him is we only have 5 midfield slots. And after game week 1, it looks like there's a lot of good midfielders that we're going to want to own. But Szoboszlai, he's perfectly solid. Happy to have him. And if I was wildcarding, I'd get him. Then we have our highest owned defender around my rank, Calafiore, 45.6%. Assuming he keeps his place and he keeps attacking, he gets 60 minutes plus, he is a good player, but we need to watch his minutes. I suspect over the next few game weeks he's going to be all right. But once the European games start, is he going to get reduced minutes? We don't know. Now, the sites that like to predict don't have him as the best Arsenal defender. They have it as Gabriel, but of course Gabriel is 2.5 million more expensive. The next highest is a keeper. It's Raya. I'm fine not owning him because the trouble with Raya is if you own him, that means you only get 2 Arsenal outfield players. And there's probably 4 or 5 Arsenal outfield players we'd all like to own. So if you've got Raya, I'd say absolutely don't sell him. But I wouldn't buy him. And if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't get Raya. I'd just get someone else. Then Umbremo, okay, he got nothing. He blanked. He's got a good home fixture this game week. I suspect his ownership's going to be dropping quite a lot over the next game week or two, down at 37.4%. If he does well, of course, he's going to hurt me. If he gets 10 points, that's like nearly -4. But I don't care. There's other midfielders I'd rather have. There's other defenders I'd rather have. And then I'm only going down to 25% owned here. So Calvert-Lewin, he did nothing. If he does nothing again this game week, I suspect he's going to get dumped quite a lot. And then when people wildcard in game week 3 or 4 or 6, again, if he's still done nothing, he'd definitely be mass dumped. And then we've got a defender here, Gabriel, nearly 30% owned, which is quite surprising. He's that high owned given how expensive he is. But over enough game weeks, he is expected to be the best Arsenal defender and the best defender in the game. Whether or not that happened, we need to wait and see. But I own him. I'm very comfortable having him. And then Solis. So I saw the Arsenal game down at Fest. Solis is very, very good. He's only 6.5 million. If I was wildcarding, I would be very tempted to get him because he's only 6.5 and he's very good. Now, I'm aware there is some nervousness that before the transfer window closes the end of next week, Arsenal could get in another player that's going to play on the left, so Solis may get fewer minutes. But at the moment, we don't know that. So again, I'd say don't bring him in, but if you've got him, well done. Absolutely nice pick. And then last on the list, 27.5% round where I am, we have Morgan Rogers, Chelsea. He did very well. Come game week 4, lots of managers are going to probably bring him in, and then possibly Palmer too. But Palmer's not on this list. So having said all that, if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't get Bruno from this list. I wouldn't get Umbremo. I wouldn't get Raya. I wouldn't get Calvert-Lewin either. But you don't really need to do anything about any of these players. It's fine. So the goalkeepers, what I do now, and I know some people hate this, I'm going to try and be quicker than I used to be. But if you just want to forward past this section or just leave at this point, I won't be hurt. I understand. So I'm going to show for each position some players. So these are all the keepers I'm showing. I'm just showing 8. And they're shown according to how much damage it's reckoned they're going to cause you over the next 5 game weeks if you don't own them. But I'm making the next game week the most important. The one in 5 game weeks time less important. The ones in between are tailored to that. So Raya for this game week in particular, if you don't own him, you need to reckon he's going to get you -1.6 points. Whereas Pickford, for example, at the end of the first row, if you don't own him, he gets you minus 0.3. So none of these are massively going to score against you. So I would just say if you've got a playing keeper, that's fine. Just play them until you wildcard. So I've got Rare as a good keeper and Donnarumma as a good keeper. They're both very good. Donnarumma's all right. But the downside with both of those is you can't then have 3 outfield Arsenal or 3 outfield Man City players. So I wouldn't be going there personally. Kelleher is 5 million. Brentford, again, look like they're going to be very good this season. The only reason not to have Kelleher really is there may be 3 Brentford outfield players you want. But I think that's less likely than 3 Arsenal or 3 Man City. So if you've got Kelleher, well done. If you're wildcarding, Kelleher may be an all right bet. If I was wildcarding, depends on the money, I think. I quite like Trafford, who's not on this list. That's the Leeds keeper. And I always like Pickford, so I might go for him. But there we go. So if you've got a playing keeper, that's enough. It really doesn't matter too much who they are. When you wildcard, then you want to think about it. For the defenders, so Calafiori and Gabriel, they're going to hurt you the most if you don't own them. Calafiori's minus 1.9 against you. Gabriel's worth minus 1.5. But again, don't bother making a transfer, which is why you can just skip the rest of this video. Just don't make a transfer. So O'Reilly, he's minus 0.9 against you. It's suspected that although he kind of played the number 10 position for a fair bit of the last game, he's probably going to be a bit further back, maybe probably on the left wing. We need to see what happens, but he should be a solid pick. If you've got him, well done. If I was wildcarding, I probably wouldn't get him now, but I do have him, and the chances are I could have him for many weeks. Virgil van Dijk should be the best Liverpool defender. He's only minus 0.8 if you don't own him. These are all good choices. And I've actually got all 4 of these, but that's not why I made them green. And then Gahey. The issue with Gahey is with Man City, we don't know yet what the final formation and player positions are going to be. So if you've got him, well done. You got some good points last game week. Personally, I wouldn't go buying him now, though. If you don't own him, he's going to do you minus 0.8 points of damage. Sure, there's not a planet in the universe where I'd be buying Shaw, but he's only got 1 potential good game week left. That's home to Ipswich. If you've got him, fine. He might get you a clean sheet. He is only 4.5 million, so he could be sitting on your bench many game weeks. So you don't need to rush him on. And after this Ipswich game, if he just sits on your bench to wildcard, that's all right. Maguire's only do minus 0.7 damage. Gvardiol minus 0.6. And then Diop is bench fodder, as is Van Oijk, something like that. They're not going to do any damage. And I've got another 2 pages of defenders, so I'm sorry about that. None of them are going to hurt you if you don't own them, so fear none of these. Pedro Porro, we don't know what his minutes are going to be this coming game week. Home to Newcastle. But assuming he gets good minutes, at least after that, 5.5 million, he could be a solid pick. I know Spurs were absolutely awful first game of the season. There has to be a reasonable chance that's going to get turned around. Let's see what happens. But for now, I wouldn't go buying Porro. But if I had him, I wouldn't sell him either. But he has been sold by a lot of people. Williams, so he was on 9 points for me until I think 3 minutes before the end of time when I think it was Stack got a goal for Leeds from a free kick. Very nice. So I'm perfectly comfortable with Williams. Yes, he's away to Liverpool, but I've kind of got no choice. I have to play him. Not expecting a clean sheet. Could get -1 in the end. But that's just who I've got. So I wouldn't go buying him, but he's absolutely fine. I wouldn't go buying Van Heck, but if you've got him, he's all right. So Konsa, I've got him pink. Pink means punt at the moment. So he's not expected to start this game week away to Villa. And given he came from Villa, he may not even play there at all. It looks like he's expected to be first choice until Saliba's back, which is months away, but not this game week. The following game week, Arsenal at home to Chelsea. Chelsea look like they're very good at scoring goals. So it may well be for most people game week 4, when a lot of people are wildcarding, or game week 6, when they bring him in. So assuming he does start and get 90 minutes against Chelsea, he is going to be very popular. But if you buy him now, there's a reasonably high chance he either won't play or just get reduced minutes and get you 1 point. Tarkowski, I put him as a bit of a punt because I have heard some people saying about what's his minutes going to be because he's a bit of an old man now. I suspect the start of the season he's going to be fine. He is 6 million. Absolutely, if you've got him, he's brilliant. If I was wildcarding, I wouldn't be bringing him in. There's other defenders I'd rather have. If you don't have him, he's only minus 0.3. And I'm talking too much. I've got to go quicker. Lacroix. He's a bit of a punt because Chelsea, defensively, because of their keeper, Sanchez, they're a little bit frail at times. But he is expected to be the best player at the back for Chelsea, especially if they can keep clean sheets. Is Sanchez going to remain the number one keeper? Don't know. There's still a few days they could get someone else in. I've got no inside knowledge about this. I don't know. Lacroix is a good player, though. And it may become game week 4. People will bring him in. He is 6 million. And then Thomas, normally I'd make him Gray, but he's at home to hold this game week. Only 4 million, Gray being bench fodder. If you've got him, that's fine. You're probably going to play him. If you're bench boosting, of course, you'll be playing him. Cody, 4.5 million. Good player, but only going to do minus 0.3 damage. Don't need to care about him. And then De Kuyper, we don't know if he's going to be playing. So he played last game week, of course. I don't know if he's going to be at play Thursday or not in Europe. That's tomorrow. He's gone up to 4.6 million, so he's gone up in value already. But he was playing out on the left, which is where Matoma plays. We don't know when Matoma's back. Before the transfer window closes, perhaps Brighton to get another left winger, in which case maybe De Kuyper's going to play a bit further back, maybe won't play, maybe reduce minutes. So until the transfer window closes, we won't know so much what's going to happen. But the next game in any case is away to Chelsea. So you wouldn't be looking to bring him in, although a lot of people have brought him in. But I don't think you should. So Palace, I think they let in 2 goals, didn't they, at the weekend? Munoz, he's been sold off by 67,000 net. He's going to do minus 0.2 damage, 5.5 million. I wouldn't be getting him. We don't know what Palace are going to be like. They've got a new manager. Give them time to settle in. Then another pace defender, sorry. So any of these, unless it's otherwise, are okay. Hume, Bellard. White is good. He's not going to hurt you if you don't own him, though. Minus 0.2. Away to Villa's fine. Then home to Chelsea. But then, we don't know what his minutes are going to be. So Gabriel is going to be safe. Konza's probably going to be safe once he's playing. White's not the only one that can play out there on the right. So we don't know. He's a little bit dodgy. If you've got him, that's great. I suspect there'll be some owners that'll be wildcarding him out in the near future, though. He seems quite good. He's not going to hurt you, though. Robertson, now, if he was first choice playing every week, he'd be quite nice. But that's assuming Spurs keep some clean sheets. But he is quite attacking, which is nice. Minus 0.1 damage. He is not going to hurt you. So Muharmarovic, whose name I can't properly say, he's not going to hurt you, but he is a good player. Minus 0.1. If you don't have him, you don't need to rush him, and he's not going to be hurting you. But he looks like a solid player. Mosquera, he's another one that's a bit dodgy. He's quite possibly going to be giving way to Konza when Konza comes in. So if you've got him, that's fine. I would assume he's going to get 60 minutes at least against Villa, but we don't know that. And long-term, owners are expecting to be selling him possibly on the wild card. Rodon's fine, 4.5. Mendy, he's just bench fodder. Van der Ven, so he didn't play. He was injured. I don't know the extent of his injury. It looks like he's probably not expected to start this game week, possibly after that. But you shouldn't be buying him in any case. I hope you're playing this on double speed, by the way. Midfielders. So Bruno, even though I don't have him, if I had him, I'd be comfortable with him. If I was wildcarding him, I wouldn't buy him. He's been net sold by 118,000 managers when I put this together this morning. And it's been a long day. But he's fine if you've got him. If you don't have him, he's going to get you potentially minus 3.6 points this week. Szoboszlai is going to get you minus 2.5. He's good. Embremo minus 1.9. Solis minus 1.4. So you can see these are getting less and less important. Szoboszlai has been brought in by net 108,000. Solis by 128,000. And Embremo has been sold off. Semenyo, okay, he did nothing. We need to see what he's going to be like in the setup for Man City in the Premier League. He's been net sold by 73,000 so far. He's fine to have. If I was wildcarding, I wouldn't buy him now, though. Roger's been net brought in by 113,000. home to Brighton, that's nice, but then they're away to Arsenal. Assuming nothing bad happens, he's going to be mass owned come game week 4 when they're at home to Hull. And Dyer's all right, minus 0.7 damage. Palmer's going to do 0.7 as well. He's 9.5 million. He's been net brought in by 180,000. There's a general feeling that Palmer, when they played, who did they play? Oh, that's awful. I've forgotten who they played now. Fulham. They're away to Fulham. The general feeling is Palmer was back to his good old self, in which case at 9.5 million, he's going to be very good. So as things stand in game week 4, there's a lot of people thinking they're going to maybe get Rodgers, Palmer and João Pedro. Certainly at least 3 of those. Sorry, at least 2 of those 3. But need to see what happens. But he's good. If you've got him, well done. Wouldn't go bringing any of these in, because we wouldn't do any transfers. Rice would do you minus 0.6 damage. He's been sold off by net 77. Gross been net sold by 53. The feeling is possibly Brighton should have had a penalty, in which case he would have taken it, possibly scored. But they were 4-0 up at the time against 10 men. Maybe the referee was feeling a bit sorry for Villa. If he was, that was completely wrong and unprofessional. Should not have done that. But anyway, he's 5.5 million, and there's lots of nice midfielders to choose from. None of these are going to hurt you. Vert's been net sold by 57. Saka, net brought in by 43,000. Both of those, if you don't own them, potentially going to hurt you by 0.5 point. Don't need to worry about it. Saka's interesting because he's expensive. And if you went without Bruno and Haaland, then you can have Saka and Palmer and a very nice 11. But that's very risky going without Haaland. Odegaard, he's been brought in by net 183,000. If he plays as well as he did last game week, of course he's going to be very good, totally worth the money. But again, the transfer window's not closed yet. We don't know exactly what his minutes are going to be like. In a few game weeks' time, we'll have a better idea. They're away to Villa, then they're home to Chelsea. So in any case, you don't want to be messing about with Arsenal players till game week 4. Sangari, net brought in by 275,000, already risen in price. It looks like he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be owned by 80-90% of engaged managers within the next few game weeks, probably, because he's below 6 million, and he's going to often be getting 3, 4, 5 points, sometimes more than that. He was absolutely driving that game for Brentford. Very, very good. If I was wildcarding now or setting up my team now, I would definitely have Sangari. Enzo Lefebvre, he didn't do anything, but they're home to Fulham. That might be okay. What damage will he cause you? Minus 0.4. He's getting sold off. Don't need to worry about him. So Cherky came on, got a couple of assists, turned the game around. If he gets very good minutes, he's probably going to be a very good buy. But we saw that with Reinders last season. I know Reinders is a different player. Reinders got, I think, 2 goals in the first game week. Loads of people piled in on got him, even me, or rather including me. And he didn't really do anything after that. So we don't know how Man City are going to be set up. We don't know what minutes Cherky's going to get. But he may well be getting brought in by lots of managers if he gets good minutes, because he seems very good. He's been net brought in by over 100,000 so far. Then Kuhn's been net sold 43. Obviously, you wouldn't go buying him, but if you've got him, that's fine. None of these are going to hurt you. Gibbs White is flagged as being potentially injured, 75% chance of playing. Obviously, you wouldn't go buying him. If you've got him, like I have, and you've got someone who can come off your bench, personally, I'd completely keep him. But if you've got him and you're bench boosting this game week, then I would definitely sell him and just get someone who I'm sure is going to play. And if I didn't have Sangari, I'd probably get him. Gakpo, so net brought in by 104,000, but I know because the transfer window is not closed, there's a certain amount of gossip about, is he going to go to another club? And if he does, how's that going to affect his minutes and his performance? So even if I had lots of transfers, I wouldn't bring him in yet. But possibly when the transfer window's closed, he might be all right. Then Wilson's been net sold. He did nothing. People are very fickle. They're selling him off a bit. And then maybe we should play this on triple speed, actually. Anderson, net sold by over 100,000. I believe he's flagged. Dewsbury Hall, he did all right. But none of these are going to hurt you. Both of these are going to hurt you by minus 0.2 if you own them. Same with Xhaka, who did well. Sade, Foden, I said I wouldn't talk about these. Slater, he's bench fodder, but at least he plays. And I've got him. I'm happy with him. So Hinshelwood, he's not going to hurt you much, minus 0.1 million. 90 nearly 100,000 have brought him in. They're away to Chelsea. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. We don't know if his minutes are going to fall off or not. Again, it's going to be a big difference once the transfer window closes. All the players are settled. Then we're going to have a better idea what's happening. Stack's all right, 6 million. Bruno G, I think, will be good, but there's a reasonably high chance he's not going to get decent minutes this game week. At time recording, I don't know what his fitness level is. He's been net sold by 87,000. And Ampadu, 5.5 million. He's all right. Forwards, this is fewer. You'll be happy. So Haaland, if you don't have him, he's going to hurt you by minus 4.6 points. If I was wildcarding, I would probably get him. As it happens, I've got him, so it doesn't matter. João Pedro, definitely worth having. To Calvert-Lewin, did nothing last game week, but home to Brentford. But Brentford have been quite solid. I wouldn't go buying him, but if I had him, I wouldn't be scared about keeping him. Isak would be a punt. He didn't take the penalty at the end of the Newcastle game. We don't know if he's going to share penalties with Szoboszlai or if Szoboszlai is just first choice, in which case Isak is just the striker. He may end up being very good. If Liverpool end up being very good, he may be not worth having at all. But he's quite lowly owned. He's only going to do you minus 0.8 points damage this game week if you don't own him. So there's no reason to fear him. He's fine. Thiago, I quite like. He's going to do you minus 0.7 damage. But there are quite a few forwards and midfielders to choose from. So it's going to be hot. It's going to be impossible to get all the ones you want. But he's not going to hurt you too much. Probably not going to hurt you at all. Minus 0.6. Well, not at all. 0.6. That's something, I guess. Havertz, 0.3. Gossip about Watkins potentially leaving the Premier League. He's been sold by 139,000. He's at minus 0.1. Vissa, minus 0.1. He looks like he could be very good. So his ownership may well go up. And it may be in a few game weeks. We need a very good reason not to get him. Otherwise, we need to get him. But at the moment, he's not a threat to us. Igor Jesus, been sold by 23,000. Don't care about him. And you'll be pleased. This is the last page. Then you're coming here. Goalkeepers, 151,000. Sold him. Not worth having. If he does play, he's going to do you minus 0.1 damage. And Wally's just bench fodder, not going to hurt you at all. Now, the benching order, starting with the keepers. You do whatever benching order you like. But if you want my opinion, because you're unsure about a couple of players, then this section may help you out. Starting with the keepers, chances are you've only got one playing keeper anyway. My preferred order, everything considered, would be Raya, Lamens, Donnarumma, Kinski, Kelleher, Pickford, Verbruggen, Dubravka. And then any other 4 million keeper that's not even going to play. For the other players that we've just looked at, which is a whole load of players, apart from 6 which are potential captains, my preferred order would be, so the first one you see, I'm suggesting you play them. Embremo, Isak, Saka, Semenyo, Cunha, Rogers, Solis, Havertz, Calafiore, White, Wirtz, Virgil van Dijk, O'Reilly, Gvardiol, Gahey, Cherki, Thiago, Odegaard, Rice, Gakpo, Foden, Sangari, Calvert-Lewin, Maguire, Tarkowski, Watkins, because Watkins will either play or he's not going to be playing at all. And if he plays, he may get something. And if you spent that much money on him, you may as well play him. Same with Bruno G, probably, although I like Bruno G, but I probably wouldn't have him at the moment anyway. Mosquera, Konza, we don't have a picture for him yet. Van der Ven, Brobbery, Van Owick, I'll learn to say his name one day. Enzo Lefay, Ndai, Hinshelwood, De Kuyper, another one I need to learn to say his name. Muhamovic, it looks like. Stack, Shaw. Look, Shaw's all the way down there. I just don't fancy Man United. Thomas, Ballard, Anderson, Wilson, Lacroix, Gibbs White, Van Heck, Sade, Gross. With Gibbs White, I'm assuming he's either going to get close to 90 minutes or nothing. But he's away to Liverpool. Dewsbury Hall, Pedro Porro, Zaka, Asia, Hume, Vissa, Ampadu, Igor Jesus, Williams, Rodon, Coyote, Robertson, Munoz, Gyökeres, Slater, Mendy, Diop, Wally, and that's it. If you disagree with any of that, that's absolutely fine. This is just what I would do. Now, for the captain, I've already got my hat on because I showed you my team earlier. Bruno, most people who've got Bruno are going to be captaining him. The predictor sites think he's going to be the highest scoring player this week at home to Ipswich. But if you don't have him or you want someone else, then I think Haaland is a good choice. I didn't have Bruno, I'd be going Haaland. If I had both players, I think I'd probably captain Haaland. The bookies have him as more chance of scoring, but of course, Fernandes gets an extra point for scoring. Fernandes has more chance of getting the bonus points. I wouldn't care about the extra point for a clean sheet because there's a reasonable chance United won't keep a clean sheet. But Solio, I use Solio numbers for this whole thing. I've been using Solio numbers. Solio reckoned Bruno's going to get 7.1 points and Haaland to get 6.5. Obviously, they'd be getting an integer, but they think Fernandes is about half a point higher than Haaland. Not much in it at all. João Pedro might be very good. He's another choice, as is Gabriel, as is Szoboszlai, as is Palmer. Any of those for captain, any for vice captain, but Bruno and Haaland are the main two. And I think Bruno's probably going to be the most captained. But any of those may do you all right. Oh, look, and then this page shows the net transfers as of this morning. I know it's a bit small. The most transferred in to Kuiper by net of 335,000. I wouldn't get him. Until we know where he's going to play and what his minutes are and the transfer window's shut, personally, I wouldn't be getting him now. But if you've got him, that's brilliant. He's nice and cheap. Sangari, very happy to bring him in, 275,000. Pedro Porro being dumped by 262. I wouldn't be dumping him if I had him. There's not a word I'd buy him. I would definitely make sure I had João Pedro, though. Certainly by game week 4, 223,000 net brought in. Any other interesting ones here? Palmer's only at 180,000 net brought in. He's going to be a lot more popular going forward. All right. Hopefully there won't be too many videos quite like this. Hopefully I'll normally be live streaming. But I've just had a ridiculous few days and few weeks. I'll get my act together eventually, hopefully. I may well do a deadline stream with about half an hour to go to an empty room because everyone should be watching someone else. But let's just see how I feel and how work goes on Friday. The deadline's Friday. Don't forget that 6:30. Thank you very much for watching. If anyone actually watched all this, I'm very grateful. Feel free to put in the comments how much you hate the section with all the players in. If you find that useful, please say you want to keep it. If everyone just hates on it, I can just drop it and go straight to captaincy and just do 2 or 3 players. It's obviously a lot easier for me, but I know some people like to know what I think about loads of players. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this recorded all right. Look at that, no edits. Bye.